Hello, everyone. I'm Leah Spector, Senior Brand Manager at BigCommerce. Thank you so much for joining us for this first edition of our live social series, where we'll talk about e-commerce news, trends, talk with e-commerce experts, and a whole lot more. Today, I have with us Shelley Kilpatrick on our content marketing team. We today are going to talk about the report we launched yesterday, which is our brand new global consumer report, all about current and future trends of e-commerce. So we really wanted to know, what are consumers thinking about the metaverse, crypto, Web3, sustainability, brand values, and so much more. So I'm really excited to have Shelley with us today, and we're going to talk all about it.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here and share the results of what we found and dive deep into all the great content.
Awesome. Thanks, Shelley. Let's get into it. Shelley, can you give us some background into the report? What were we trying to learn with the survey? Who are we really trying to help out with this information?
Yeah, we really wanted to make this global, so we focused on multiple countries. We did the US, UK, France, Italy, Australia, surveying consumers 18 plus that shop online. What we really wanted to do was provide insights that can help brands understand consumer shopping decisions. So, how are people making decisions? What do they care about? And then we wanted to understand like the future forward trends, like you said, all the cool stuff of like the metaverse, NFTs, crypto, and like how do people really feel about that stuff? Because there really wasn't a lot of information when we were doing like research on like how are people responding to these? Are people actually interested? So those were kind of like the questions I wanted to answer.
Right. You see all the headlines, but we go to conferences and hear about metaverse commerce, but it's probably not happening right this second, but it could be happening soon in the future. So we wanted to learn just what consumers are thinking about it. And this was over 4,000 consumers worldwide. So we got some really good insights, and I'm excited to dig a little deeper. What are some of the basic overarching trends for how consumers are shopping online? Like, how often are they shopping? What are they shopping for?
So they're actually shopping a lot. 55% are shopping online at least once a week, but some people were shopping online every day. I could potentially be one of those people for sure.
It's like 7% of people shop every day online, they said.
Every day. Isn't that insane?
It's not surprising because if I think about it, I probably could get close to that.
Oh yeah, I was definitely in the like at least every day, 2 to 3 times a week. I'm always online shopping for something, which kind of leads us into the next thing of like what are people buying? So fashion and apparel hands down number one thing people are buying online. 80% said that's what they were buying. Other things were like entertainment, media, personal care products, home goods, and my personal favorite that I always buy online, groceries. I realized I have not been to the grocery store in a year since like the pandemic stuff because I just buy all my groceries online.
Who wants to go to the grocery store anymore?
I know. I'm like, that's okay. I can buy them online and then do delivery or curbside pickup. So I think a lot of people are gravitating towards that. And that's kind of like what we learned with what they're buying.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's really influencing the way people shop online today?
So, unsurprisingly, free shipping was the number one thing that people want. I think we've, learned that from multiple studies. We've seen that, with our own merchants. Like, what do they want? Free shipping. Like, we know that I want it. Like, that's definitely something I look for as soon as shipping turns up in the cart. I'm like, okay, what do I need to buy and add to my cart to
Right.
get the free shipping? Because somehow I can add a $20 item to save on that, like $5 shipping.
It's a mental game.
It so is. And then people also want sales, discounts, free returns. So that was,
Hmm.
something people are really looking for. The things that people didn't want was try before you buy, which I thought was really interesting because we've seen a lot of, big retailers like even Amazon, Warby Parker, places like that that have kind of like a try before you buy. But that really wasn't the incentive people were looking for. It was more monetary.
And that's so interesting too, like taking the top category, fashion and apparel. It makes sense, like free shipping and free returns. Try before you buy is almost just like a rebranded way to say free returns. You just pay after you get it home. So yeah, it's all about the branding and how you position it, and it's really all about convenience.
Yeah, convenience was definitely something we learned, which we'll talk about a little later.
What about buy now, pay later? I know we've talked a ton about that, and there's a lot of information in the report, but anything new to talk about or that we discovered?
Yeah, so 16% of respondents had said they'd used buy now, pay later. The majority were in the US, Australia, and UK. France and Italy, not so much. Like, we did not see a lot of people using buy now, pay later. I feel like this is pretty obvious, but like the most popular reason people like it is to fit purchases within their budget. Um, but of people who've used it, convenience was another one. But interestingly, for people who make 100,000 or more a year, it like started flipping. So it was more about convenience than fitting in a budget, which
Hmm.
I thought was really interesting and might be, again, like Gen Z, millennials, and younger people were more likely. So if you think about like the young professionals, like software engineers who maybe don't have credit cards because, they were
Credit averse, right? We're seeing that with
exactly.
younger groups.
Yeah, so like they might make a lot of money but be credit averse, so they want to make a large purchase. So buy now pay later really makes it convenient for them in those scenarios.
Okay, again, more about convenience.
Yep.
In the last few years, we've seen a lot of conversation around changes to shopper data and privacy. We have the California Consumer Privacy Act, all the iOS 14 changes, all aimed at protecting shopper data. But me as a shopper, I'm always accepting those cookies because I want a better online experience. I want more personalized ads that I may engage with rather than something that's not relevant. So we really wanted to know what other shoppers actually prefer. Do they avoid sharing data, or are they willing to give up data for those more personalized online shopping experiences?
So we also partnered with Google and they shared some of their search data and, trends data. And, I think one of the stats was like 72% of people want a personalized shopping experience. So, that showed in our data as well. I think it was also like 72% or something like that wanted personalization. The catch to it, though, is they want control over what information they share and the brands that they share it with. So I know skipping ahead a little, but if we're talking about brand values, honesty, transparency, those things can make your brand stand out. People will be more willing to give information to get a personalized shopping experience, build trust. Again, notably, Gen Z and millennials were the most willing to share data. Um, on the other hand, baby boomers were very averse to sharing their data. 47% were just unwilling to share any data at all for any reason. Italians and Australians were the most willing to share,
Hmm,
while the French were least willing. And then, of what people wanted to share, email, name, and gender were information they were most willing to share, where purchase history was actually kind of like in the middle.
interesting.
So yeah, and then definitely people did not want to share their phone or address.
Yeah, I never want a text from a brand. I know SMS texting, that's a whole thing. It's not my thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a new thing, and people are a little more hesitant about texting because I think we've all been subject
Spammed.
to this robo text and spam.
So let's get into Web3 a little bit. Metaverse, crypto, NFTs, they've all made headlines, of course, for how they'll affect commerce. What did our report find?
Surprisingly, consumers had a really good understanding of the metaverse. Like, that one surprised me. I think it was like 26% said they had a really strong understanding, and 46% were willing to shop in the metaverse.
Interesting. What do they want to shop for online on the metaverse?
They want to shop for both physical and virtual goods. So I think like it's if you have an avatar in the metaverse,
Right.
buy a shirt
Clothes,
for,
shoes.
but then also like get one for yourself in real life so that
It's
you
pretty
and
cool.
your avatar can like look the same. On the other hand, NFTs, people had very little familiarity with them. But once we explained kind of like, here's what an NFT is and gave kind of an overview, the types of NFTs they were most interested in was music and gaming.
That makes sense. And we've seen already huge crossover for NFTs for music and gaming community and also fashion apparel. Again, that makes sense with that being the top category shopped in this report. Just thinking about all the luxury and even kind of the middle of the road brands, even like H&M, Nike,
Yep.
um, some really big brands have created metaverse spaces. So I'm excited to see how that evolves even a year from now, because when I went to Shop Talk, I think last year there were maybe one or two brands that had shining examples, and we're seeing new ones every day. So watch this space for sure.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an area to like keep your eye on.
Yeah.
NFTs and crypto are a little more volatile,
Sure.
so definitely something to be aware of.
Well, I'm excited for the metaverse. I have my Quest goggles. I really only played a couple games, so I want to get into some spatial experiences. What about brand values? Anything interesting there?
Yeah, so sustainability is a big one. Again, Google Trends data over the last 5 years shows that searches for sustainable brands, sustainable packaging, those have continued to rise. 92% of Gen Z said that sustainability was either very important or somewhat important when making a purchasing decision. Only 73% of baby boomers, but that's still pretty high
That's
if you
pretty
think
high.
about it, like that's a factor in their decision. As for the countries, Italian consumers, 90% said somewhat or very, while the UK was 80%. So the rest were in between. So again, you know, sustainability is a factor and people are looking, they're concerned, they, care about it. However,
Yeah, how so? Like, how do they want a brand to be sustainable? What are they looking for?
yeah. So like again, I think packaging and like how you're manufacturing and how you're impacting the planet. But of course, the dichotomy of like what we care about versus
Convenience, price.
what we're willing to do. So again, it goes back to convenience. So people were more willing to have items delivered on a certain day or pick items up in store. But as for paying more for sustainably, products.
Not there yet?
Not there yet.
Okay.
But younger generations are kind of flipping the script on that.
More willing.
So yeah, they're a little more willing than older generations, but just something to keep in mind.
Okay. Again, watching this space, I hope to see those numbers increase a little bit. Maybe I'll change some of my behaviors too to help add to that. Did anything in the report surprise you?
I know it's a super small percentage, but 2% of people said they've actually shopped in the metaverse.
So 2% of 4,000 would be what, like 40?
I think it was like 80 something when I did the math. But still, I feel like if you kind of like expand in that and like multiply that and like apply it to the population, like it's just kind of surprising that like I honestly thought we were gonna get like no one. Like what? Like when we added that question, I was like, oh, no one will have shopped in the metaverse. But even like a few people had.
Well, and I wonder too if we had been able to survey younger, like kids who may be playing on Roblox or those other spaces where they're probably really used to making those purchases for their games. Maybe that number will go higher. So again, excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I know. Once they turn 18 and we can survey them, we'll see how that changes over the next like 5 years to see how much that number grows. The other thing I thought was really interesting was we kind of asked about, brand values and, people care about sustainability. But one of the things we asked is if they care about merchants and employers providing fair wages and benefits to their employees. And that actually ranked as like the second most important brand value. So people really want to see how employers support their employees and what they're doing to like care about them and treat them right and give them what they need to be successful.
That I'm glad to see that pop up as the number 2 reason behind honesty and transparency, which I think they kind of go together. We've seen a lot of headlines, a lot of conversations about really large conglomerates maybe not treating their employees fairly. So I think everyone kind of has their antennae up on that one. So I'm glad to see that. Last question for you, Shelley. What wasn't necessarily new information, but something that maybe confirmed what we were all assuming about the industry?
Yeah, I think, buy online, pick up in store when it showed what are people willing to do for sustainability. That was one. I think, fashion and apparel being a category that people are buying online is, one of the top ones. Free shipping, I think we all knew that, but it's still good to see that. And how that's evolving. So I think we learned a lot of the same things we've been seeing the last few years, but it's always good to, do a pulse check on what we're seeing and make sure it's really true.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know there are so many more insights and data points and things to learn in this report. So definitely check it out. We'll link it in the comments. Shelley, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for writing this report and doing this research. This is really valuable and really cool to see.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and happy to share all this data and download it, read it. It's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and tune in with us next week as we go live with Make It Big Conference. We're excited to see you all there.